warrior, soldier, man at arms, get down. Scars on my hands and arms, hit town.
America has been at war 93% of the time. 222 out of 239 years since 1776. By Washington's blog, February 20th, 2015. And today is March 5th, 2015. I have bookmarked Novedades Semanales, which means weekly news in Spanish. And they have articles in Spanish, English, and Italian. I like to read foreign languages, but they have so much in English, I don't need to read the foreign language stuff. There is plenty to read in English. And I found this one. It seems like a good article to read. I'm not going to make a long video. I just want to give you the major points. And the URL is in the video description. Use it to go there and read the full list of wars. This article answers the question, why is America broke? When I saw the list, I was really surprised because they were all aggressive wars. And if you view the USA as a defensive nation, you need to read this list. Because it looks like empire building, the slaughter of the Indians through countless wars. And if you know a little bit about history and you know how we were dragged into the most recent wars, like World War II, like these unnecessary wars with Iraq and Afghanistan, unnecessary from the people's point of view, absolutely necessary from the empire builders who want to steal gold and oil and take control of the world's heroin production, then it's all about money. They get the profits and we get the bill for the war. They live wonderful lives and we count the dead on our side and the so-called enemy's side. These countries are not enemies. They're no threat to the USA. And I will never forgive FDR for ignoring the attack, for provoking the attack at Pearl Harbor. Provoking it and then ignoring the intelligence services when they told him that Pearl Harbor was about to be attacked. He sacrificed 2,000 sailors so that his banker buddies could make a lot of money from going into the war. Wars are always about money. They are all bankers' wars. And we, the people, need to understand first, then spread the truth second. The people have two simple choices, to respond or do nothing. If the people respond, the matrix is dead. The propaganda is ineffective. The misleaders will be replaced by real leaders, and we can drink real beer once again, my friends. How long will it take? That depends upon the response rate. 100% response, and we can wrap this up in less than 2 weeks. That's where all the military tells the commander-in-chief that they can no longer follow his insane orders to kill Americans who are no threat to the people. But those who threatened the people will be dealt with great force and violence. 100% response is when all the people have accounts with social networks and are using them to send out short messages of truth every day. The viral spread of facts is a vital part of the attack to win our rights back and eject a worthless Congress and this foreigner in the White House who uses his Kenyan birth name of Barack. And before I change cards, I will tell you that there's a link for the Washington's blog website. Just click on it, and I suppose you will find a whole lot more of the same. Next card. The U.S. has been at peace for 21 years total since its birth. In 2011, Danios wrote, and there's a link there, below I have produced a year-by-year timeline of America's wars, which reveals something quite interesting. Since the United States was founded in 1776, she has been at war during 214 out of her 235 calendar years of existence. In other words, there were only 21 calendar years in which the U.S. did not wage any wars. To put this in perspective, pick any year since 1776 and there is about a 91% chance that America was involved in some war during that calendar year. I want to add something here. The author didn't mention this, but I think it's important. There were times when we had multiple wars going at the same time. For example, recently we had a war in Libya, we had a war in Syria, we had a war in Afghanistan, and we had a war in Iraq. We had 4 wars going. So if there were 21 calendar years in which we did not have any major wars going, then those worthless leaders, so-called leaders, made up for it by having 4 wars going at one time. We can't afford this. This is why we're broke. Bankers must have wars or they can't make a buck. It's time to end that lunacy and give peace a chance. That was the first bullet, that you have a 91% chance that America was at war if you pick any year between 1776 and the present. The second bullet says, no U.S. president truly qualifies as a peacetime president. Imagine that. Instead, all U.S. presidents can be technically considered war presidents. Bullet number 3 says, the U.S. has never gone a decade without war. Well, we need to try that and see if it makes us healthy, wealthier, and wiser. Try 1 decade of peace for a change. Our defense has been turned into an offense, and the reason is because we have a Federal Reserve and they finance all these wars, and so we're going to have lots of them because the bankers make a killing. I am against war. That's why I read the website called War is Crime, and I read Novedades Semanales because they have a lot of articles which tell the truth, and some of them are very well written. We have a 4th bullet which says, the only time the U.S. went 5 years without war was 1935 to 1940. This is during the isolationist period of the Great Depression. Well, we need to try that again because we're in a terrible depression because of all the wars. And paying interest on the money borrowed to wage wars is pure lunacy. The Constitution provides that Congress has the right to print money. It does not say they have the right to delegate that responsibility to a private cartel of bankers. This is illegal, and it needs to end. It's been going on for over 100 years. The Federal Reserve is responsible for all these wars. And the $18 trillion in debt is interest that we allegedly owe them for printing money on a printing press. All they do is create it on a ledger. This is bullshit. Now that's the message of truth I would like to send to you people today. What are you going to do? You have 2 choices. Do something or do nothing. And I think you know the results of each. Don't feel powerless. That's what they want you to feel. Know what your power is. It's your voice. It's your ability to send out a message of truth. If other people shirk their responsibility, that's their business. But your duty is to send out a message of truth. Whatever you find to be true, find a video, find a website. Read it, understand it. If it's a video, watch it and understand it. And if you think it's correct, send it out as truth. Let's spread the truth and annihilate the propaganda. We're swimming in a sea of propaganda and lies. And it's time for the people to realize their power and take action. Next card. Here is a graphic depiction of U.S. wars. Now the red is the war years, and the blue represents peacetime years. We have 214 years of war and only 21 years of peace. I guess the bankers were just not successful in waging a war. This is disgraceful to be a nation of wars. Always at war. We can't afford this. We're supposed to be spending money on education and developing industry. Instead, we waste all this money on wars. We lost $6 trillion on the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. What kind of fucking bullshit is that? That money should be in the Social Security Fund, and old people should be living a wonderful life, but they're spraying us to kill off the old people. Spraying us with commercial airliners hidden compartments with tanks. And the delivery trucks are the toilet trucks. They're using toilet trucks to put chemicals into these commercial airplanes, and they're spraying them over our head and killing off the old people. It's genocide. Why are they doing it? Because they can't afford to pay them, because they'd rather spend money on wars than spend money on old people. And old people are the ones that paid for these wars. Old people paid for the Social Security, and they're being denied it. Instead, they're given an early death. And this is fucking bullshit. If you like it, do nothing. And if you don't like it, you're only one drop of water, but a tsunami or a tidal wave is made up of nothing but little drops of water. Be part of a wave. Blast your message out. Use your mathematics. 1 becomes 10, 10 becomes 100, 100 becomes 1,000, 1,000 becomes 10,000. It goes to 1,000,000, it goes to 1,000,000,000, it goes to 1,000,000,000,000. There aren't 1,000,000,000,000 people on the planet. You'll reach everybody in a very short period of time if you just do something. But sitting on your ass is not going to get us where we want to go. I've got 2 more cards. The author starts at 1776. This American Revolutionary War is highly questionable because I don't think we won it. I think we lost it. And I think that there was a cover-up, that deals were signed with Great Britain, and America remained under control of this domineering and ultimately more powerful nation. They were well established, and they had great wealth, and they kicked our ass in the American Revolutionary War. But for some reason, the news was put out that we won the war, and what I'm learning as an adult is that we never really won the war. And if you guys want to debate it in the comment section, it's okay with me, because I would like to know the truth. Whatever I have found suggests that we did not win the American Revolutionary War. And look at all these wars with Indians. This was stealing their land. This is exactly like the war in Iraq, taking over their country, stealing their gold first, and then stealing their oil. In Afghanistan, it's to seize control of the world heroin production. I hope everybody knows the truth about that now. They kept the death of Osama bin Laden a secret for a decade, pretending they were still looking for him. Journalists went in and found him right away and interviewed him. But the CIA and all the billions we spend were ineffective in finding him? This is all bullshit. He had nothing to do with the World Trade Center attack. The facts that have come out make it clear to anybody with a brain and an IQ of 80 that it was an inside job, false flag attack in order to pass the Patriot Act and get us into war with Iraq and Afghanistan. These people are playing us like a fucking piano. And it's time for us to cut out all the fucking bullshit and start spreading the truth, because we have power, we're just not using it. They have made us feel helpless and powerless, and we are neither helpless nor powerless. It's an illusion they create. It's a false reality. And as soon as you let go of the concept of being powerless and worthless and useless and ineffective in government, as soon as you give that up and you start practicing your little tiny droplet of water mentality, you become part of a tidal wave. Let's get everybody to recognize their power. Put a little message when you send out your truth to others in the social networks. Tell them, we have power in vast numbers. We can change the world. We don't need leaders. We need to be leaders. Let me show you the last card. Now, I cut off at 1830 because there were so many wars by 1830 it gets boring. But I want you to go to this webpage and look at the list, the entire list, all the way to the present. And I want you to realize that somebody is making a buck off of every one of these wars, because every single war has to be supplied. All kinds of things are produced for wars, and somebody is selling them. And if they have political connections, they can get filthy rich. And so they want wars. They want as many wars as possible, and they don't care if your kids go to college or not. It's not their problem. We, the people, need to stop electing leaders. We need to be leaders. We need to cut out all the fucking bullshit and take command of our country. Take control of our lives. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Thanks for watching. America has been at war 93% of the time. 222 out of 239 years since 1776.
This is why I'd rather do it by myself. Stack money, make music, put my product on the shelf. So many haters, man, it's hard to believe.